Hey, welcome to 23 Degrees Sideways. Today we're going to talk just a little bit about the culture war and an opinion editorial piece in the Los Angeles Times. Now, this came out on the 5th of February, so as I film this, it's very, very recent. And it's by someone named Virginia. I won't say the last name because even though it's published, I'm going to give you the link to the article. If I say her name, something bad will happen. Whatever. And it's really interesting. She's the title of the opinion is "What Can You Do About the Trumpites Next Door?" And so I don't know what this Trumpite thing refers to. Okay, there's so much to dig into in this very short letter. She starts, "Oh heck no! The Trumpites next door to our pandemic getaway, who seem as devoted to the ex-president as you can get without being Q fans, just plowed our driveway without being asked and did a great job. How am I going to resist demands for unity in the face of this act of aggressive niceness?" You think she's joking? Go on, because I don't think she's really joking. She continues, "Of course, on some level, I realize I owe them thanks. And man, it really looks like the guy backdragged the driveway like a pro, but how much thanks? These neighbors are staunch partisans of blue lives, and there aren't a lot of anything other than white lives in the neighborhood. This is also kind of weird. Back in the city, people don't sweep other people's walkways for nothing." There you go. Right there. This is probably the biggest problem with the urban liberal movement. Progressives, liberals, whatever. And I'm going to just go ahead and paint this like liberals. Libertarians have the same problem quite often. We'll get to that. They really don't understand the concept. There's no space in their head. There's no map in their reality for doing something for nice. To be nice to other people does not exist for them. Let's continue and see what Virginia has to say. She does something about Eddie Murphy and how white people are nice to each other when there's no black people around and some other weird race-baiting stupid thing. But then she goes into Hezbollah. Hezbollah, the Shiite Islamist political party in Lebanon, I guess you could call them a political party, also gives away things for free. The favors Hezbollah does for people in the cities like Tyre and Sidon probably don't involve snowplows, but like other mafias, Hezbollah tends to its own. The sick, the elderly, the hungry, they offer protection and hospitality, and they win loyalty that way. They also demand devotion to their brutal, us versus them, anti-Sunni deadly cause. Some of us are acceptable, their favors say. Others are infidels and deserve to die." She continues on, "This is very similar. When someone helps you when you're down or snowed in, it's almost impossible to regard them as a blight on the world." This lady honestly thinks that the idea of being nice to your neighbor is a mafia move. So when I accept generosity from my pandemic neighbors, because she Miss Privilege here, who doesn't believe in Western civilization and literally does not have the concept of being nice to your neighbor, owns 2 houses and has a pandemic getaway in the mountains. "So when I accept generosity from my pandemic neighbors, acknowledging the legitimate kindness with a wave or a plate of cookies, am I also sealing us in as fellow travelers subject to their mafia rules? And that I have to denigrate the others that we call them?" This. Okay, the rest of the letter goes on to worshipping Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez with her terrifying experience during the insurrection and how the insurrection brought down our country and how we're at war and there's no Ben Sass make nice with each other unity because they have to pay for their dastardly deeds. And, you know, she can offer her version of thanks is she can offer a standing invitation for them to make amends to her for their stance on the Trump administration and recognizing the truth about the Trump administration and how many people it harmed. Yeah, she has a mafia morality. That's all she has. This letter. Hope I remember to put a link in the description. This letter is the most eloquent description, the most eloquently provincial description of why progressive liberals don't work with Western society that I've seen yet. It's, yes, of course you think conservatives are evil. Of course you think social libertarians who are fiscally conservative are evil. Yes, you think people who don't do social justice are evil. Yes, you think people who are genuinely, honestly generous and altruistic are evil. Because you literally can't understand the concept of doing it for nice. I don't remember if this is particularly Southern or Midwestern. I have family from all over the place, but it's something I grew up with is the phrase, do it for nice. Just do it for nice. Doing things for nice. Just because it's nice to do. That is such a foundational element of what became Western civilization. And we can argue about whether it came out of Scandinavia or whether you think it came out of the Middle East with Christianity, which is a laugh. Whether it came out of the Celtic, Western European, Central European areas. You can argue about where this cultural meme came from, all right? But do it for nice is a cornerstone of what has set Western civilization apart when it develops into a liberty-full post-Enlightenment thing. America, in a nutshell, right? Do it for nice. It's such a very Western thing. And she literally, this Virginia person, literally cannot grasp it. And she is like so many other extremely provincial. She's privileged. She has multiple houses. She can travel, but she's very provincial in her head. She's very stuck in her worldview. She doesn't go to another country and experience another culture. I've noticed this, okay. I don't know, after 26 countries, 27 countries, whatever. I've been to many countries, and I go over the wall. I go into the native culture. I really like to experience stuff. Okay, watching the World Cup with Saudi dudes is kind of weird and crazy, and they do their weird little jumpy thing when they celebrate, but it's a cultural experience, and it's a very strange culture, but you got to experience the culture. Spain, Morocco, Iceland, whatever, right? You go experience your culture that you're around. And I've noticed that progressives, the more progressive and liberal people don't. They really don't. They have a perception, they have a view of what the culture is and how they need to help it and what the social justice issues are and why it's so bad and why their refugees have to come here. But they don't actually understand anything about the culture. They can't get their head inside that space. They never ever step outside their head. They're very, very provincial and narrow. They are so blinded. And here you have a standard urban liberal progressive. You know, she's probably from like San Diego or San Francisco or something. And she has this little mountain house. Woo! With neighbors who are dangerous because they don't agree with her. And they can't plow the driveway because, hey, I got my little snowplow out, my garden tractor. I'm like, hey, this is cool, fun. I'm just going to do the whole neighborhood because I'm having fun. I got my coffee and I'm having fun. Like, just to be nice to people. Like, she can't comprehend the idea of being nice to people for the sake of being nice to people. That is modern progressivism. That's the problem I'm having. This is, you know, the whole thing with Trump wasn't ever about Trump. It was about getting rid of the death of Western civilization, the death of humanist civilization. I don't care if it's Western or Eastern, but it was humanocentric, it was humanist, it was pro-humanity, it was uplifting. And people like this don't get it. They can't have it. It's not part of their reality. Dude, I'd rather have a nasty, weird-ass businessman who's a horrible, horrible, immoral guy when it comes to real estate transactions, but gives $10 bills to the homeless dude on the street, randomly, than you, as an urban progressive who literally can't understand why you would help a neighbor just because you see something. So, the good news is that people like this tend to not do a really fantastic job at taking over the world. If you want to actually look at it the right way, the dominant part of Western civilization is because we actually rock. So don't take this too negatively. Just, this is it. This is what progressives do and are, and this is the problem we're having. In a nutshell. Now, I just got to remember to put the link in and stay sideways.